Hello and welcome to Ancient Dreams. Tonight, I invite you to set aside the weight of your day. Close your eyes, take a slow deep breath, and let your thoughts grow quiet, like the streets of a city before dawn. Together, we will drift gently back across the centuries, to a world of marble and mosaic, of bustling markets and quiet gardens, to the heart of one of history's most enduring civilizations, ancient Rome. There is no need to hurry. The past is patient, and it opens itself softly to those who listen. So rest easy, let your mind loosen, and follow the rhythm of this story, not to study, but to dream. Our journey begins. At the very first light of day, the city sleeps, but not for long. Even before the sun has risen above the hills, a faint glow brushes the horizon, a promise of light. The eternal city waits beneath that quiet sky, its rooftops dark shapes against the paling east. Rome, in this moment, is hushed, a great body that has not yet stirred but already breathes. In a wealthy household, the first sounds of the day are not loud. A slave moves softly across stone floors, bare feet finding their path with practiced ease. He carries a small oil lamp, its flame cupped by his hand, and with it he touches light to other lamps along the hallway. One by one, tiny suns are born inside the house, pushing away the night. The atrium lies still, its pool reflecting faint starlight. Soon it will catch the day's first fire, but for now it holds the last of night's calm. The bronze household gods, the Lares, watch silently from their shrine in the corner, waiting for the daily greeting that will come with bread and incense. Elsewhere in the house, a woman stirs. She rises from a low couch, drawing a woolen wrap around her shoulders against the coolness that lingers before dawn. Her sandals whisper on the floor as she crosses to the window. The shutters are pushed open, and the first breath of morning air enters, cool, carrying the distant smell of damp earth and stone. And something else, something constant, the faint smoke of night fires, banked but not extinguished in countless homes across the city. In the kitchen another servant grinds grain on a stone quern. The sound is steady and circular, like the rhythm of a heartbeat. Flour gathers in a shallow bowl, fine as dust. It will be baked into the day's first loaves, flat and simple, carried warm to the table with cheese and olives. The work is not hurried, the sun is not yet visible, and there is still time. Beyond the house, Rome's streets are nearly empty. The paving stones, worn smooth by countless steps, still hold the coolness of night. A cart rattles slowly along, its driver slumped in his seat, guiding a donkey half asleep but steady. The sound echoes, stone against wood, wheel against ground, then fades into the silence again. Watchmen pass by, cloaks pulled close, their torches lowered now that the dark is thinning. They nod to one another without words, marking the passing of their shift. From a nearby alley comes the low bark of a dog, then silence. A cat moves along a wall, its shape a shadow slipping into shadow. The river, too, stirs. The Tiber carries on its endless journey, its surface dark but restless. Along its banks, fishermen are already at work. Nets are cast, the weights striking the water with soft splashes. Torches planted in the ground glow faintly, making small circles of light that float on the current. A man hums to himself, low and tuneless, a sound for no one but the water. And then, slowly, the change begins. The eastern sky grows brighter, pale gold washing away the last of the night's blue. Roof tiles catch the first rays, and windows gleam like eyes opening. Birds call from every corner, sparrows from eaves, crows from the forum, doves from gardens. Their voices rise together, a chorus that greets the sun as it climbs. Inside the domus, the paterfamilias, the head of the household, steps into the atrium. He pauses before the shrine of the Lares. In his hand is a small cake of bread. With a bow of the head, he crumbles it, scattering the offering. A pinch of incense follows, the smoke curling upward in a slow dance, carrying with it a prayer unspoken yet understood. Gratitude for the night, hope for the day. In humbler homes, in the crowded insula, the tall apartment blocks, the morning is rougher, but no less alive. Doors open onto stairways, children shuffle sleepily, neighbors call to one another as they descend narrow steps. A woman carries a jug to the street fountain, where water splashes endlessly from a carved spout into a worn basin. She waits her turn, listening to the murmur of others who have come to fill their vessels. The fountain's sound is a kind of heartbeat, steady and eternal, one of the city's voices that never falls silent. The first meal of the day is simple, but it binds the morning together. In wealthy homes, trays are set out with bread, cheese, dried fruit, and cups of watered wine. Children nibble sleepily, while their tutors wait to lead them to lessons. In poorer homes, a heel of bread dipped in oil suffices, eaten on the way to work. At stalls along the street, bakers sell flatbreads warm from the oven, their crusts blistered from the fire. Customers gather, coins exchanged, loaves tucked under arms. The air fills with the smell of baking, a promise of sustenance that makes the morning easier. Vendors set up their stands even as the first customers appear. Piles of fresh figs, baskets of dates, cheeses wrapped in leaves, amphorae of olive oil lined up in careful rows. The market stirs with whispers, low haggling, and the occasional laugh. Nothing is hurried yet. The day is still young, and the sun has only begun its climb. Now Rome begins to move. The sounds gather and layer upon one another, carts rolling faster, voices calling, hammers striking, bells ringing. The temples open their doors. Incense smoke drifts above rooftops in pale threads, blending with the rising haze of the city. In the streets, senators are carried in litters, their bearers' sandals slapping the stone in rhythm. Soldiers pass in small groups, shields strapped to their backs, their laughter easy. School children walk in clusters, reciting their lessons under the watchful eyes of tutors. Artisans throw open the shutters of their workshops, the clang of the smith's hammer, the rasp of the carpenter's saw, the sharp smell of wet clay from the potter's wheel. The morning is no longer a whisper, it is a song, deep and wide, sung by the city itself. Rome, fully awake, stretches into the day, and so dawn becomes morning. The quiet of night has lifted, replaced by the rhythm of labor and life. From the domus to the insula, from the fountain to the forum, the eternal city breathes as one. The day has begun, and all of Rome turns its face toward the sun. The city has awakened. The hush of dawn is gone, replaced by the first true rhythm of the day. The streets of Rome, paved with stone and lined with towering insulae and grand houses, now stir with footsteps, voices, and the mingling scents of bread, oil, and dust. At the street corners, vendors prepare their stalls. One man unfolds a cloth awning, tying it carefully with leather cords so that the shade will cover his baskets. Another arranges fruit, stacking figs in neat pyramids, setting grapes in woven trays, and polishing apples with the corner of his tunic. A woman selling olives pours them into shallow bowls, the oil catching light as it drips from the ladle. Beside her, a small boy carries pitchers of watered wine, ready for the first customers who will stop to refresh themselves before the day grows hot. The smells begin to gather, the sweet burn of roasted nuts, the sharp tang of vinegar poured over greens, the warm soft scent of bread just drawn from the oven. They rise into the air and drift down the streets, announcing the market more clearly than any crier could. In the baker's district, ovens roar with life. Men work bare-armed, faces flushed with heat, their movements practiced. Loaves are pulled from the flames, their crusts split and steaming, then carried in wicker baskets to be sold. Boys run with these baskets through the streets, calling out their wares. Customers step forward eagerly, coins ready. For the wealthy, slaves purchase the bread in bulk, carrying it back to the domus. For the poor, a single loaf broken and shared is enough to begin the day. At one stall, round honey cakes glisten, their surfaces sticky with glaze. A group of children crowd forward, eyes bright, clutching coins saved from yesterday. The baker smiles, breaking the cakes into halves and handing them down with a wink. Sweetness, even in small measure, makes the day feel lighter. Shutters swing open one by one as workshops stir. A smith hammers iron, each strike ringing across the street like a bell. Sparks jump and die on the stone floor. His apprentice pumps the bellows, feeding air to the fire, sweat running down his face though the morning is still cool. Across the way, a carpenter planes a length of wood, the curls of shavings piling at his feet. The smell of fresh cedar joins the air. In another shop, a shoemaker bends over a pair of sandals, his awl piercing the leather with slow precision. Each stitch is tight, each movement measured. Customers pause to watch, sometimes offering a greeting, sometimes simply admiring the craft before continuing their walk. Further down, The potter's wheel spins. Clay rises beneath skilled hands, shaped into jars, bowls and lamps. Rows of finished pieces wait along shelves, their surfaces smooth, their forms simple but beautiful. A boy delivers a jug to a waiting woman, and she thanks him with a smile, setting it carefully into her basket. The streets themselves sing. Carts creak as they roll over the stones, wheels striking against ruts carved deep by years of traffic. Donkeys bray, their voices sharp, answered by the shouts of drivers. The street musician tunes his lyre, plucking strings one by one until they hum in harmony. He begins a soft melody, not a performance but a background, a sound to remind passers-by that the day is alive. Children's laughter threads through it all. They chase each other between stalls, weaving through the legs of adults, dodging curses and laughter alike. A group of boys tosses knucklebones in a circle scratched into the dust. The clatter of bone on stone marks the rhythm of their play. At the public fountains, women gather with jugs and buckets. Water pours endlessly from carved spouts into wide basins, the sound steady and soothing even amid the growing noise. They dip their vessels, lifting them onto shoulders with practiced ease. Conversations flow as easily as the water. Gossip about neighbors, complaints about prices, small joys shared like secrets. Children lean over the edge, splashing hands, delighting in the coolness. The fountains are the city's lifeline, and everyone, rich and poor alike, comes to them. Some pause to drink, cupping their hands. Others simply rest in the shade a moment, letting the cool air off the water wash their faces before continuing. Not all who walk these streets belong to Rome. Travelers arrive each day through the gates, dusty from long journeys. They carry news, goods, and stories from distant provinces. Some lead donkeys burdened with baskets, others walk with only a staff, their sandals worn thin. Their voices carry accents of Gaul, of Greece, of Egypt, adding to the city's chorus. Messengers hurry past, their steps swift, scrolls tucked under arms or strapped in leather cases. They carry the words of generals, senators, merchants, voices that will change lives though spoken far away. Each stride is purposeful, yet even they must pause now and then to let a cart pass or to step aside for a patrician's litter. Litters appear now, carried by strong men, the curtains drawn to shield their passengers from dust and sun. Within sit senators, magistrates, wealthy matrons. They ride in silence, the world outside moving slowly past, while pedestrians step aside, bowing or simply waiting as the procession moves. Yet for every litter, there are 100 men and women walking. Their sandals strike stone with the same sound, their bodies moving in the same rhythm. The streets belong to all, and while wealth can shield, it cannot silence the shared hum of the city. At the edges of the forum and scattered throughout neighborhoods, temples open their doors. Priests sweep thresholds, light lamps and prepare offerings. Citizens pause as they pass, dropping coins into bowls, leaving sprigs of flowers, or touching the stone briefly with fingertips. A low chant rises from one sanctuary, echoed by the sound of bells in another. Incense smoke climbs upward, pale ribbons against the blue sky, mingling with the scent of bread, oil and dust. The gods are present in every corner. They are honored not in silence but in the midst of life, woven into the fabric of the morning as naturally as water and air. As the sun climbs higher, commerce deepens. The butchers' stalls open, their counters lined with cuts of meat, knives flashing as orders are filled. Fishmongers lay out their catch on beds of damp reeds, the scales shining silver in the light. Spices are poured from jars into small packets, their scents sharp and rich, cinnamon, cumin, pepper, saffron. Customers lean close, inhale, and nod in satisfaction. Prices are argued, bargains struck, coins exchanged. The market hums, not loud, not frantic, but steady, like a river flowing. This is the rhythm of Rome, measured not in hours but in the pulse of trade, the exchange of goods, the weaving together of needs and abundance. Food stalls draw crowds. Here, skewers of meat sizzle over coals, the fat dripping and flaring as it cooks. There, bowls of lentils simmer, flavored with herbs and garlic. Customers lean against counters, eating quickly, savoring the warmth before returning to their errands. Children clutch honeyed nuts wrapped in paper, their faces sticky but happy. A group of laborers share a jug of watered wine, passing it between them as they laugh at some joke. The street is a dining room as wide as the city itself, and no one is turned away. Each face carries a story. The old soldier, scarred but proud, selling trinkets from a blanket on the ground. The washerwoman, her hands red from labor, calling out to customers with a voice both tired and strong. The philosopher, seated on a step, speaking quietly to a circle of students who nod and take notes on wax tablets. The child, clutching a wooden toy, watching it all with wide eyes. All of Rome's life is here in the morning streets, a tapestry woven of voices, footsteps and scents. By now the sun is fully above the horizon. Its light warms the rooftops, strikes the stones until they gleam, and casts long shadows that shorten as the morning grows. The city is no longer waking. It is fully alive. The streets, crowded now, carry everyone forward to work, to trade, to study, to worship. The hum of the city has become a chorus, steady and unbroken. And yet within it there is calm, the rhythm of sandals, the sound of fountains, the glow of sunlight on stone. Rome is awake, and the day has begun in earnest. The morning has grown into its full brightness. Shadows have shortened, the rooftops glow beneath the sun, and the heart of the city beats strongest in the Forum, the great square where Rome conducts its business, shares its news, and weaves together the strands of its vast empire. From the edge of the streets, you step into the open expanse of the Forum Romanum, and it feels as if the entire city has gathered here. The square is paved with ancient stones, each worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. Columns rise proudly, some supporting great porticos, others standing alone like markers of memory. Marble statues glint in the light, their faces calm, their gestures frozen in eternal address. The air is full of sound, not the clamor of chaos, but a steady tide of voices. Senators debating, merchants advertising, scribes calling out names, petitioners pleading their causes. Over it all rises the steady clang of hammers from nearby workshops, the bray of animals being led to sacrifice, the murmur of fountains spilling water into carved basins. The Forum is not a single place, but a collection of lives woven tightly together. Every street in Rome seems to lead here, and everything that happens here ripples outward, to touch the rest of the city. Along one side stands a basilica, vast, shaded, its roof held up by rows of towering columns. Within, merchants set up their tables, laying out scales, weights and scrolls. Contracts are written here, debts acknowledged, disputes settled. Voices echo beneath the high ceiling, blending into a chorus of commerce and negotiation. A cloth merchant displays bolts of dyed wool, deep crimson and pale saffron. Customers run fingers across the fabric, testing its weight. Nearby, a banker counts coins, the clink of bronze and silver ringing like a soft bell. His assistant records each transaction on a wax tablet, the stylus scratching quickly before the wax is smoothed for the next entry. At another table, lawyers argue cases. One speaks with calm authority, his words chosen as carefully as a sculptor chooses marble. His opponent responds with passion, his gestures sharp, his tone insistent. Around them, a small crowd gathers, murmuring in approval or dissent. These cases may be minor, but here in the Basilica, they take on the weight of Rome itself. In the open square stands the rostrum, the speaker's platform. Today, an orator mounts the steps, scroll in hand, and the crowd gathers to hear. He speaks not in shouts but in measured tones, his words carrying across the space with practiced ease. He speaks of laws, of justice, of the will of the people. The listeners nod, some in agreement, others with skeptical frowns. Children dart between legs, chasing one another until hushed by their elders. Vendors weave through the crowd, offering cups of water, dates or bread for a coin. The orator continues, his voice rising, then falling, like waves on the shore. When he finishes, the applause is brief but respectful. Another man takes his place, and the rhythm begins again. The rostrum is more than stone. It is the voice of the city itself, a place where words shape reality, where ideas become action, where the life of the Republic still lingers even as empire grows. Around the Forum, temples rise like anchors of faith. The Temple of Saturn, with its proud columns, stands where the treasury is kept. The Temple of Castor and Pollux gleams, its steps worn smooth by countless feet. Incense burns constantly, its smoke drifting in pale veils across the square. At the Temple of Vesta, the sacred flame is tended by the Vestal Virgins. The flame never dies. It is as constant as Rome itself. Citizens pause as they pass, bowing their heads briefly, for the flame is more than light. It is the city's soul. its promise of continuity. Priests move among the people, their robes white, their gestures solemn. They accept offerings, sprinkle libations, murmur blessings. Religion here is not apart from daily life but woven into it. To visit the Forum is to pass constantly between the sacred and the ordinary, as easily as stepping from sun to shade. At one corner of the Forum sit the scribes. Their tables are covered in scrolls, tablets and jars of ink. They write quickly, their hands sure, as they record contracts, letters and petitions. A man leans forward, dictating carefully, his voice low and intent. The scribe nods, repeating the words, then scratches them onto the papyrus. The customer seals the scroll with wax, presses his ring into it, and departs, his business done. Nearby, petitioners wait with scrolls clutched in hand. They hope for an audience with a magistrate or senator, to ask for justice, for favor, for mercy. Their faces are tense, but they wait in silence, knowing their turn may come slowly. Children carry messages back and forth, darting like birds. They run from one end of the Forum to another, scrolls tied with string, their bare feet slapping the stone. Each delivery is a thread in the great weaving of the city's life. Though the Forum is a place of politics and justice, it is also a market. Stalls line the edges, selling spices, jewelry, perfumes and small luxuries. The air is filled with scents both familiar and exotic: cinnamon from the east, frankincense from Arabia, saffron from Spain. A jeweler displays rings and brooches, their settings bright with stones. A woman examines them carefully, lifting one to the light before shaking her head. The jeweler smiles, lowers the price, and at last she nods, placing coins into his hand. A young man purchases a vial of perfume, tying it carefully into his pouch. He lingers, perhaps hoping the scent will make a difference later that evening. Merchants call out their goods, their voices rising above the din. Bargains are struck, coins clatter, and goods change hands in a rhythm as steady as the tides. Everywhere in the Forum stand statues. Generals, senators, benefactors, their forms in bronze or marble, their names carved into pedestals. They look down upon the living crowd with silent pride, reminders of Rome's greatness and the price of its glory. Children climb onto the bases, tracing the carved letters with their fingers. Elders pause to point, recounting stories of battles fought, treaties signed, triumphs celebrated. The past is not distant here. It is a constant presence, watching and guiding. Though the Forum is a place of politics and justice, it is also a market. Stalls line the edges, selling spices, jewelry, perfumes and small luxuries. The air is filled with scents both familiar and exotic: cinnamon from the east, frankincense from Arabia, saffron from Spain. A jeweler displays rings and brooches, their settings bright with stones. A woman examines them carefully, lifting one to the light before shaking her head. The jeweler smiles, lowers the price, and at last she nods, placing coins into his hand. A young man purchases a vial of perfume, tying it carefully into his pouch. He lingers, perhaps hoping the scent will make a difference later that evening. Merchants call out their goods, their voices rising above the din. Bargains are struck, coins clatter, and goods change hands in a rhythm as steady as the tides. Everywhere in the Forum stand statues. Generals, senators, benefactors, their forms in bronze or marble, their names carved into pedestals. They look down upon the living crowd with silent pride, reminders of Rome's greatness and the price of its glory. Children climb onto the bases, tracing the carved letters with their fingers. Elders pause to point, recounting stories of battles fought, treaties signed, triumphs celebrated. The past is not distant here. It is a constant presence, watching and guiding. Though the Forum is busy, it is not overwhelming. There is a rhythm to its noise, a cadence that soothes once you surrender to it. The shuffle of sandals, the murmur of voices, the splash of fountains, the calls of vendors, together, they form a symphony of the city at work. A philosopher sits on the steps of a temple, his voice soft, his students leaning close to hear. He speaks of virtue, of duty, of the nature of the soul. Around them, life flows without pause. But here, in this small circle, the world seems slower, gentler. A beggar rests in the shade, his bowl empty but his gaze calm. Passers-by drop coins, some many, some few. Each gift makes a sound, a soft chime against clay that adds to the music of the square. By midday, the Forum is at its peak. Every voice, every step, every transaction seems to converge here. To stand in the Forum is to feel the pulse of Rome itself. proud, vast, alive. And yet even here in the heart of empire there is a gentleness. The sound of water from the fountains, the scent of incense, the warmth of the sun on stone. These small details remind you that life, even in its grandeur, is lived moment by moment. As you leave the Forum, the voices fade, but the impression remains. The Forum is not just a place of politics or trade. It is Rome distilled into one space, a city of memory, faith, commerce and law, bound together in a square of stone. The morning hours slip away, and the city grows warmer beneath the steady sun. Work continues, but already thoughts turn toward the spaces where labor softens into leisure, where body and spirit are refreshed. Few institutions in Rome carry the same rhythm, the same promise, as the baths. From the Forum, the streets lead outward, their stones bright underfoot. The hum of commerce gives way to a different kind of sound, a mixture of footsteps, conversation, and the distant rush of water. Ahead, the public baths rise like palaces of comfort, their walls broad, their entrances grand. For many, they are not just places of cleansing, but of community, of ritual, of pause. At the gates, citizens arrive in steady streams, men and women of every station, senators, soldiers, merchants, laborers, all find their way here. For the baths belong to the city, not to the few. Attendants greet visitors, guiding them within. The air grows cooler as you step past the threshold, shaded corridors leading toward the inner chambers. First comes the apoditerium, the changing room. Benches line the walls, niches hold baskets for clothing, and slaves stand ready to guard belongings. The space hums with voices, greetings exchanged, laughter shared, the rustle of garments being folded away. Bronze mirrors gleam on the walls, catching the light of oil lamps. A senator removes his toga, folding it with care, while nearby a farmer unlaces worn sandals. Rank matters less here. Stripped of their clothing, citizens stand equal, their bodies speaking only of labor or ease, age or youth. Conversations spring up across divides of wealth and class, for in the baths, Rome remembers itself as a community. From the changing room, the path leads to the tepidarium, the warm room. Its air is thick and comfortable, heated by flues that run beneath the floors and behind the walls. The light is dim, filtered through high windows, falling on polished marble. Here the body acclimates. Visitors recline on benches, their skin warming slowly, pores opening. Attendants rub oil onto shoulders, arms and backs, the liquid glistening as it spreads. The scent of olive oil, faint and clean, fills the chamber, mixed with the sharper tang of herbs, rosemary, thyme, sometimes mint, added to soothe and refresh. The room murmurs with conversation. Friends discuss business, politics, the latest plays. Others sit in silence, letting the warmth seep into joints and muscles. The tepidarium is a threshold, neither hot nor cold, preparing body and mind for what comes next. From the gentle warmth, you enter the caldarium, the hot room. Here, the air itself seems to shimmer. The heat presses close, heavy and consuming, rising from the marble floors, radiating from the walls. Pools of steaming water wait, their surfaces broken by ripples as bathers slip within. The first touch of the water shocks, but soon it soothes. Muscles relax, skin softens, breath deepens, sweat gathers and flows, carrying away the dust of the morning, the stiffness of labor. Attendants move quietly with strigils, curved metal tools, scraping oil, dirt and sweat from the skin. The sound is soft, a faint rasp, the rhythm steady and unhurried. Some sit on benches, heads bowed, eyes closed, letting the heat envelop them. Others lean back against the marble, their voices low, speaking of matters serious and light alike. The caldarium is not just a place of cleansing but of release, of shedding burdens alongside sweat. From heat, the path turns suddenly to cold. The frigidarium waits with its pool of clear, chilled water. Steam no longer clouds the air. Instead, the chamber echoes with sharper sounds, the splash of bodies plunging, the hiss of breath drawn in shock. To immerse here is to awaken fully. The cold water bites at first, then invigorates, tightening skin, quickening pulse, sharpening thought. Some linger only moments, rising quickly, gasping, laughter breaking from them. Others remain, floating still, eyes closed, letting the chill surround them. The frigidarium restores balance. After warmth and heat, it returns the body to itself, refreshed and renewed. Visitors climb from the pool with cheeks flushed, eyes bright, their steps lighter than before. Beyond the main sequence of rooms, the baths offer more. Courtyards open beneath the sky, where men play ball games, their shouts and laughter echoing against the walls. Wrestlers practice holds on sanded floors, their bodies gleaming with oil. Runners test their speed along marked paths, their sandals striking in rhythm. Others gather in shaded porticos, seated on benches, reading scrolls or dictating letters. Philosophers expound to small groups, their words rising above the background hum. Merchants strike bargains, senators exchange news, poets recite verses. The baths are as much a forum as the forum itself, a place where life mingles freely. Vendors wander with trays, nuts, fruit, pastries, offering small indulgences to those who linger. Musicians pluck lyres, their soft melodies blending with the constant sound of water. Children chase one another across the courtyards, their laughter rising like birdsong. Everywhere, water moves. It gushes from spouts, splashes into basins, trickles along channels. The sound is constant, soothing, as if the baths themselves breathe. The air carries a mixture of scents, oil and sweat, herbs and steam, marble warmed by sun and fire. Together they form the unique perfume of leisure, unmistakable, unforgettable. The surfaces shine, polished floors, carved statues, mosaics beneath the pools. Images of dolphins, nymphs and sea gods shimmer beneath the water, their forms shifting as ripples pass. Light filters through high windows, playing on mist, turning it golden. Here, conversations bloom easily. Freed from the rush of work, citizens speak with patience, their words flowing like the water around them. Old men recall battles fought long ago, their voices steady with memory. Young men boast of ambitions, of offices sought, of journeys dreamed. Women speak of families, of gardens, of hopes for their children. News travels quickly in such spaces. A senator's plan, a merchant's success, a poet's new work, all are carried on voices from one ear to another, spreading like ripples across a pool. To sit in the baths is to hear Rome thinking aloud, a city conversing with itself. Not all is sound and movement. In some corners, silence reigns. A man sits alone, eyes closed, letting warmth seep into weary limbs. A woman reclines, her breathing slow, her thoughts drifting. Slaves wait at a respectful distance, ready to fetch towels or water, but for now they, too, are still. In these moments the baths become a sanctuary, not of ritual, but of rest. Here the mind loosens, the body softens, and time itself seems to stretch and relax. At last the visit ends. Citizens return to the Apoditarium, where their clothes wait. Bodies are clean, refreshed, oiled, steps are lighter, moods are calmer. The noise of the streets greets them as they depart, but it feels different now, less pressing, less sharp. The baths have done their work. They have taken in the weariness of the morning and returned energy for the rest of the day. They are not merely buildings of stone and water, but living spaces where Rome renews itself daily. To an outsider, the baths may seem simple. Pools of water, heated rooms, a place to wash. But to Rome, they are more. They are the equalizer, where rank softens, where community strengthens, where the city remembers itself not as empire or politics, but as people living side by side. The baths embody leisure, but also connection. They are Rome at its most human. The city is fully awake now. The streets are crowded, the sun climbs high, and the work of Rome is in motion. Beyond the grandeur of the forum and the leisure of the baths, the heart of the city beats strongest in its crafts and labor. Here, in workshops and fields, in the hands of artisans and workers, Rome sustains itself. At the edge of a bustling street, a blacksmith shop glows with fire. The forge roars, flames licking upward as the bellows pump. The smith lifts a bar of iron with his tongs, its surface bright orange, soft as wax in the heat. With practiced rhythm, he hammers it on the anvil, each strike ringing across the street. Sparks leap like tiny stars, falling to die on the dusty floor. His apprentice watches closely, wiping sweat from his brow as he turns the wheel of the grindstone. Finished blades are honed to sharpness, their edges glinting in the light. Customers gather at the doorway, soldiers seeking repairs, farmers ordering tools, housewives in need of nails or hinges. Each item forged here carries the weight of Rome's daily life. The smell is sharp, of smoke and metal, of sweat and hot iron. Yet there is comfort in it, for it is the smell of craft, of work that serves. Next door, a carpenter planes a length of cedar. The shavings curl and fall, pale ribbons gathering at his feet. His bench is crowded with chisels, saws and mallets, each worn smooth by years of use. He works steadily, fashioning a stool. Mortise and tenon fit together with precision, the wood singing under the saw. Children peer in through the open door, fascinated by the transformation of raw wood into furniture. A woman enters to order a chest. She describes the size with her hands, the carpenter nodding, marking measurements on a wax tablet. The air is sweet with resin, the dust fine as flour. Sunlight streams through the doorway, catching the suspended motes, turning them golden. In a shaded courtyard, The potter works. His wheel spins, turned by his foot, steady and sure. Clay rises under his fingers, forming into bowls, jars and lamps. The motion is hypnotic. Press, lift, smooth, release. Each vessel seems to emerge from the clay itself, as if waiting only to be revealed. Nearby, shelves hold rows of finished pieces, their surfaces still soft, their colors pale. Some bear painted designs, leaves, waves, simple geometric lines. Others are plain, their beauty in their form. Children run past, careful not to touch, their voices high and bright. In the corner, a kiln cools. The scent of baked clay hangs in the air, mingling with the sharper tang of smoke. The potter's wife sorts jars, tapping each lightly. The sound is hollow, resonant, proof of their strength. In a room filled with light, a weaver sits before her loom. Threads stretch in even rows, taut and patient. The shuttle passes back and forth, the cloth growing line by line. The pattern is simple but beautiful, stripes of white and red, repeating like the rhythm of the seasons. Wool, spun on spindles, lies in baskets. A young girl winds yarn onto bobbins, her fingers nimble, her face intent. The sound of the loom is soft but constant, a heartbeat of craft. The weaver hums as she works, a song passed down from her mother, and her mother before her. The cloth grows longer, soon to become a tunic, a blanket, a sail. Each thread is a piece of life woven into form. On the outskirts, stonecutters work quarries, mallets strike chisels, chips fly, blocks take shape. The rhythm is relentless, but the men move with endurance born of habit. Some stones are destined for grand temples, others for simple houses. Each bears the mark of its maker, the silent testament of hands that shaped it. Builders haul these stones to construction sites. Walls rise, arches curve, scaffolds climb skyward. The air rings with hammer blows, creaks of wood, the calls of foremen. Passers-by pause to watch, for every new building is a promise, a sign that Rome grows stronger still. Not all labor belongs to the city. Beyond the walls, fields spread wide, the land tilled by countless hands. Farmers guide plows drawn by oxen, the soil turning dark and rich. Seeds are scattered, watered, left to the care of sun and rain. Vineyards stretch in neat rows, grapes swelling beneath broad leaves. Olive groves stand silent, their branches heavy with promise. Shepherds lead flocks across hills, their calls answered by the bleating of sheep. The city eats because of this labor. Bread, wine, oil, meat, all flow inward from these fields. The farmer's day is long, his work constant, but his hands hold the foundation of Rome. In the city's market, the fruits of labor gather. Blacksmiths sell tools and blades. Carpenters display furniture. Potters arrange rows of jars. Weavers spread cloth in bright colors. Buyers come from every walk of life. Merchants seeking goods to resell. Families outfitting homes. Slaves sent with lists and coins. The market hums with exchange. Coins clink, voices rise, goods change hands. Each object carries the touch of its maker, the weight of hours and skill. To walk here is to see Rome's labor made visible, transformed into the things that sustain and enrich life. The crafts and labor of Rome are not loud, though their sounds fill the air. Hammer and saw, loom and wheel, plow and hoe, each is a note in the symphony of the city. Together they form the background against which politics and leisure play, the steady rhythm that makes Rome possible. It is a rhythm of patience, of repetition, of skill honed through years. It is the hum beneath the grandeur, the quiet strength of the city. Though many dream of power, of wealth, of status, most Romans live through labor. Their pride lies not in titles but in craft well done, in work that feeds, clothes and shelters. Their names may not be carved on monuments, but their hands built the monuments themselves. In this lies dignity. Rome is not marble alone, not law or army or senate. It is wood-shaped, stone-cut, clay-fired, cloth-woven, fields ploughed. It is the labor of thousands, countless and constant, that keeps the eternal city alive. The sun has climbed to its height. Shadows that stretched long in the morning have now gathered close to the feet of columns and walls. The air shimmers faintly above the streets, heat rising from the stones that have drunk in light since dawn. Rome does not stop. It is never still. But even here, even now, in the greatest city of the world, the pulse of labor slows for a moment. It is midday, the time of rest. The bustle that filled the forum begins to soften. Merchants close shutters halfway, their goods tucked behind canvas. Food vendors sell their last bowls of lentils before banking their fires. The calls of hawkers fade, replaced by the softer murmur of conversation. Carts move more slowly now. Donkeys pause in the shade of arches. Even the voices of children dim, their games postponed for later hours. The city, so full of sound, seems to lower its voice, as if speaking in whispers. The fountains continue, their splashing steady, their water shining in the height of the sun. Those who pass stop more often to drink, to wet hands and faces, to linger in the cool shade offered by their carved stone edges. In the homes of the wealthy, shutters are drawn. The atrium falls into dim light, the pool reflecting only thin strips of sun. Cushions are laid out, couches prepared for reclining. Servants move quietly, setting out trays of fruit, bread, and cool water. The paterfamilias rests, reclining with a scroll in hand. His wife speaks softly to her maid, discussing fabrics for a new tunic. Children stretch on couches, their tutors allowing them a brief pause from lessons. Even the household gods, watching from their shrine, seem to share in the silence. From the kitchens comes the smell of simple dishes, lentils, cheese, perhaps cold meats left from the night before. Nothing heavy, for the heat demands only lightness now. Meals are eaten slowly, without urgency, the conversation gentle and sparse. In the crowded apartments of the Insulo, midday brings its own rhythm. Families retreat to shaded corners, the heat pressing heavily through open windows. Neighbors call softly across balconies, their voices carrying but not loud. A woman fans her child to sleep, the boy curled on a thin mattress. A man leans in his doorway, sipping watered wine, his eyes half closed. Another stretches out on the floor itself, where the stone is cooler than the bed. Here, rest is not luxury but necessity. The sun is too fierce for constant work, and even the poorest take what pause they can. Shops close their doors, not for the night, but for this brief surrender to heat. Signs are taken down, counters covered. Some shopkeepers nap behind shutters, others gather in nearby taverns, sharing jugs of cool wine, their talk slow, their laughter soft. In shaded taverns, men recline on benches, drinking lightly, speaking of nothing urgent. Stories are told, old tales retold, not to pass judgment, but to pass time. Dice clatter on wooden tables, the outcome celebrated with a cheer or a groan, then forgotten in the next throw. Those with gardens retreat to them. Shaded by vines, cooled by fountains, they offer relief from the sun. The leaves rustle faintly, stirred by breezes that do not reach the streets. Birds settle in branches, their voices quiet, as if they too feel the weight of midday. In one courtyard, a woman waters her plants, the drops darkening the soil, the scent of earth rising with freshness. In another, a man lies in a hammock, a scroll resting on his chest, unread as sleep overtakes him. Outside the city, in the fields and farms, even the labor of agriculture slows. Farmers lead oxen to shade, unyoking them from plows. Workers sit beneath olive trees, their meals simple bread, olives, figs, water from a skin. They stretch out afterward, hats pulled low, their bodies grateful for rest. The land waits as well. The sun presses, but the soil does not complain. It too takes in the heat, preparing to give back in time. The city is quieter now, but not silent. Instead, it has changed its key, shifted into a softer register. You hear the buzz of insects, the coo of doves, the drip of water from a fountain. Somewhere, a lyre is plucked lazily, its notes drifting without urgency. From houses, you hear the sigh of sleepers, the murmur of distant voices, the occasional bark of a dog. These sounds are not sharp, not busy, but muted, wrapped in the stillness of the hour. Midday rest is not wasted time. It is part of the rhythm of the city, as essential as work, as natural as breath. The pause allows strength to return, tempers to soften, thoughts to gather. The Romans know this. They surrender willingly to rest, not with guilt but with gratitude. They understand that a city does not live only through motion, but also through stillness. Slowly, as the sun tilts westward, the city stirs again. Shutters open, shops lift their doors, voices rise once more, children return to their games, chasing shadows that have lengthened. Workers stretch, shake off sleep, and return to their tasks. The carts roll again, the donkeys bray, the clatter of tools resumes. Rome awakens a second time, ready to move toward evening. Midday rest gives Rome balance. Without it, the city would burn too hot, too fast. With it, Rome endures, steady, unbroken. This pause, this stillness, is not an interruption. It is the heart of the day, the quiet between breaths, the silence between notes in the music of life. The sun begins its slow descent. The shadows of columns and walls stretch longer, drawing lines across the stones of the city. The heat of the afternoon softens, and with it, the pace of Rome shifts once more. The work of the day draws to its close. Attention turns now to food, to company, and to the simple joy of gathering together. Vendors pack their goods, folding awnings, tying baskets, covering their wares. The calls of the market soften into farewells, promises to return tomorrow. The smell of spices fades as jars are sealed. The clang of metal dies as smiths bank their forges. The streets, though still busy, take on a different sound, less of trade, more of return. Children tug at their mothers' sleeves, eager to hurry home. Workers finish their last tasks, wiping sweat from brows, dust from hands. A donkey cart creaks toward the insulo, loaded with firewood for the night's cooking. In the homes of the wealthy, kitchens grow busy once more. Fires are stoked, pots set to simmer. Servants move quickly, carrying trays, pouring wine, slicing fruit. The smell of roasting meat fills the air, rich and savory. Herbs are chopped, sauces stirred, bread sliced. The triclinium, the dining room, is prepared. 3 couches are arranged in a U-shape around a low table. Cushions are plumped, cloths smoothed. Lamps are lit, their flames soft and golden. The paterfamilias enters, inspecting the room with calm satisfaction. Soon friends and relatives will recline here, and the evening will unfold in leisure. For those in the tall apartments, meals are humbler but no less important. Families gather in small rooms, sitting on stools or simple benches. A pot of lentils bubbles over a brazier. Bread is broken into bowls and soaked in the broth. Cheese is cut, olives placed in dishes, fruit sliced. Children chatter, recounting the day's events. Lessons learned, games played, small adventures in the streets. Parents listen, smiling, tired but content. Neighbors call through open windows, sharing jokes, sharing news. Sometimes food is shared as well, a loaf traded for fruit, a jug of wine passed between families. The meal may be modest, but the warmth of companionship makes it rich. For all Romans, evening is the time of the cena, the day's true meal. The menu varies by wealth, but the ritual is the same. Food, drink, conversation, rest. In wealthy houses, the cena unfolds in courses. The gustatio, the appetizer, may be eggs, salads or small shellfish, accompanied by mulsum, wine sweetened with honey. The prima mensa, the main course, brings meats, fish, vegetables, seasoned with sauces, both sharp and subtle. Finally, the secunda mensa, dessert, offers fruit, nuts and pastries drizzled with honey. For the poor, the meal is simpler: bread, porridge, beans, cheese, perhaps some meat if fortune allows. But the essence remains the same: nourishment taken together, the end of the day marked with food and fellowship. In the triclinium, guests recline on couches, leaning on their left elbows, eating with their right hands. The table before them is low, dishes within easy reach. Slaves move silently, pouring wine, offering platters, clearing bowls. The rhythm of the meal is unhurried. Conversation flows easily. Topics range from politics to poetry, from the affairs of the city to the stories of the countryside. Laughter breaks often, soft but genuine. The clink of cups punctuates the words, the sound of wine poured and shared. Wine is central to the evening. Always mixed with water, it is sipped slowly, its strength softened, its pleasure drawn out. Jugs are refilled, cups lifted in toasts. With each sip, tongues loosen, words flow more freely. Stories are told of journeys made, of battles fought, of plays attended, of omens seen. Jests are made, riddles posed, songs sung. Sometimes a musician plays softly, a lyre or a flute, the notes weaving through the talk like threads of gold. Children, too, have their place at the evening meal. In wealthier homes they may eat separately, their dishes simpler, but they join later, sitting quietly to listen to their elders' voices. In humbler homes, they sit side by side with parents, their laughter mingling freely with the talk. Elders are honored, their words given weight, their stories cherished. They recount days long past, reminding the younger of where they come from, of what has been endured, of what endures still. As the evening deepens, lamps are lit in greater number. Their flames flicker on walls, glint on cups, shine on polished wood. The light is warm, forgiving, softening every line, every shadow. Outside the streets darken, but inside, the rooms glow with intimacy. The air grows rich with mingled scents: roasted meat, spiced sauces, sweet wine, beeswax from the lamps. It is a perfume of comfort, of belonging, of home. The food sustains, but it is fellowship that nourishes most. Romans understand this well. To dine together is to bind together, to weave family and friendship into the fabric of life. The cena is not a meal alone. It is a ritual of community. Even when disputes arise, even when voices sharpen, the table holds them safe. Laughter soon returns, and with it peace. At last, the courses end. Fruit is eaten, nuts cracked, cups drained. Slaves clear the table, sweep the floors, snuff some of the lamps. Guests recline still, reluctant to rise, savouring the last moments of leisure. Children doze in corners, their heads heavy on cushions. One by one farewells are made. Friends embrace, promises are exchanged, sandals are strapped. The night awaits beyond the doorway, cool and quiet, the streets silvered by moonlight. The evening meal is more than sustenance. It is the closing of the day's labour, the affirmation of connection, the reminder that Rome is not only empire and power, but also family, friendship, and simple joys. As the city moves into night, the cena remains in memory, laughter shared, stories told, bread broken together. It is a thread of warmth woven into the fabric of the eternal city. The evening meal has ended. The lamps still glow, the taste of wine lingers, and laughter echoes faintly in the courtyards. Yet for many Romans, the day is not quite done. The night holds its own kind of leisure spaces where voices rise again, where music drifts through the air, where the city gathers not for labour, not for food, but for the delight of entertainment. Groups of citizens leave their homes, walking together beneath the soft light of torches. Sandals strike the stones with measured rhythm. Vendors follow the crowds, carrying trays of sweets and nuts, calling out gently, their voices less sharp than in the bustle of morning. Children hold their parents' hands, their eyes bright with anticipation. Young men laugh together, boasting about performers or plays they have heard praised. Older couples walk more slowly, leaning into one another, savouring the evening air. The streets are lively, but not harsh. The city seems to breathe more freely at night, its edges softened, its sounds less urgent. For some, the destination is the amphitheatre. By day, it has thundered with shouts and roars, with contests of strength and skill. But at night, its mood shifts. Torches line its walls, their flames painting gold across the stone. Inside, the air is heavy with expectation. The crowd fills the seats, settling into place. Vendors move through the aisles, offering bread, olives, wine. The hum of voices swells, then softens as the performance begins. Tonight, it may be a reenactment of myth, a pantomime dance, or a display of music. Whatever the form, it is greeted with eager eyes and attentive ears. The amphitheatre is vast, but even here, even among thousands, there is intimacy. Each cheer, each laugh, each gasp binds the audience together. Others prefer the theatre, where drama unfolds beneath painted backdrops. The stage is lit by lamps, their glow catching on masks and costumes. The actors step forward, their gestures broad, their voices clear, carrying to the furthest row. Comedy often fills the night, quick words, clever turns, laughter rising like waves. Satire pricks at the powerful, and the crowd delights in the daring. Tragedy, too, has its place, with heroes and heroines moving through fates both cruel and grand. The audience listens in silence, broken only by the murmur of sympathy or the sigh of sorrow. The theatre is not simply entertainment. It is reflection, education, shared emotion. Within its walls, Rome holds a mirror to itself, laughing, grieving, learning. In smaller venues, music carries the night. Lyres are plucked, flutes trilled, drums tapped softly. Dancers move with measured grace, their shadows playing against the firelight. Some performances are elaborate, with costumes and masks. Others are simple, a single singer, a single instrument, a single melody filling the room. The music drifts beyond walls, spilling into streets, mingling with the hum of voices. Passers-by pause, listening, drawn for a moment into the spell of sound. In private homes, poetry finds its audience. A host gathers friends, unrolls a scroll, and reads aloud. The words are rhythmic, flowing, meant to be heard as much as read. Listeners recline on couches, sipping wine, nodding in appreciation. Sometimes, poets themselves perform, their voices carrying the weight of their own verses. They speak of love, of loss, of Rome itself. Their words are gifts, offerings to memory and imagination. In these gatherings, silence is as important as speech. Each pause, each breath between lines, deepens the effect, lets the meaning sink gently into the mind. Elsewhere, the night belongs to games. Dice clatter on wooden tables, tossed from cups, their numbers greeted with cheers or groans. Knucklebones are thrown, their positions read with practiced eyes. Boards are marked, pieces moved, strategies formed. The games are simple, but they bring joy, competition, and laughter. Coins may change hands, but more often it is pride that is won or lost. For many, leisure is simpler still. Taverns open their doors wide, lamps burning, tables filled, wine flows, diluted and flavored with herbs or honey. Plates of bread, cheese and olives are shared. The air is thick with conversation, loud at times but rarely harsh. Songs are sung, stories told, friendships strengthened. Strangers sit side by side, and for the span of a cup, they are companions. Travelers rest in inns, their journeys paused. They share tales of distant provinces, of roads and seas, of lands where Rome's name is both known and strange. Their voices bring the world into the city, expanding it even as the night encloses. Everywhere, lamps burn. They line the theatres, they hang in taverns, they glow in homes. Their flames flicker, small but steady, casting golden circles into the darkness. The glow softens faces, warms voices, turns every place into a haven. Even the busiest street feels gentler beneath their light. Though laughter rises, though music plays, the night never loses its calm. Rome knows how to celebrate, but it also knows how to rest. The voices are lively, but they do not pierce. The songs are joyful, but they soothe. For the listener drifting to sleep, the sounds are like distant waves, steady, rhythmic, comforting. The city is alive, but it invites peace, not unrest. Entertainment and theatre are not distractions. They are part of Rome's fabric, as essential as work and worship. They remind the city that life is not only duty but delight, not only labor but laughter. As the night deepens, the crowds disperse. Friends walk home together, their voices fading. Taverns close their doors, lamps dim, stages fall silent. But the warmth remains, in memory, in conversation, in the bonds strengthened. Rome has feasted, has laughed, has listened, has rested. Now, it prepares for the quiet embrace of night. The lamps burn low. The voices of the theatres and taverns fade, and the city exhales, its great body settling into quiet. Rome, which woke with dawn and thrived through day, now softens into the embrace of night. The main streets, so crowded in morning and afternoon, lie calmer now. The stones are cool again, their heat given back to the air. Shadows stretch deep into alleys, where only the faint glow of torches remains. A cart rattles slowly, carrying refuse out toward the city's edge. Its wheels creak, its donkey plods, the driver half asleep. A dog follows, trotting silently, pausing now and then to sniff at the dark. Most doorways are closed, shutters drawn. Yet here and there, one remains open, a faint light spilling onto the street, a last conversation lingering into late hours. The night belongs to the watchman. Cloaked and hooded, they move in pairs, their footsteps steady, their torches flickering. They pause at corners, scanning shadows, listening to silence. Their presence is quiet reassurance, a reminder that even as the city sleeps, it is guarded. From time to time, they exchange greetings with late travelers, a nod, a brief word, then each continues on their way. Their torches flare briefly against walls, then fade again, swallowed by the dark. The river flows as it always does. By day, it carries boats and bustle. By night, it whispers to itself. The moon casts silver on its ripples, turning them into liquid light. Along its banks, fishermen sit with lines cast into water dark as ink. Their torches glow faintly, halos of light trembling on the current. They speak little. The sound of water is enough, steady and eternal. A fish splashes, the ripples widening, then fading. The men nod, patient, content. In the tall apartments, silence falls slowly. Families finish their suppers, bank their fires, settle children to sleep. The narrow stairs creak with final footsteps before falling quiet. From windows the last lamps are snuffed, though one or two may linger for a reader, for a weaver, for a restless soul who resists the call of sleep. Cradles rock, lullabies are sung, voices lower to whispers. The insula, so full of sound by day, now hums with the softer noises of rest. A cough here, a sigh there, the snore of a neighbor behind thin walls. In wealthier homes, the evening lingers longer. Guests have departed, servants tidy the triclinium, lamps are extinguished one by one. The paterfamilias sits in the peristyle garden, gazing at stars through columns, the air cool on his face. His wife speaks softly beside him, their words light, almost idle. Children are already asleep, wrapped in blankets, dreaming of stories told at supper. Slaves move silently, carrying trays, checking locks, ensuring all is in order before retreating to their own quarters. The household gods stand in shadow, their shrine dim now, their watch constant. Above it all, the sky spreads vast and clear. The stars burn cold, sharp as jewels, scattered across black velvet. The moon glides slowly, pale and calm, lighting the city more gently than the sun. From rooftops where some linger to catch the breeze, the heavens seem close. Constellations tell their stories: Orion, Hercules, the twins. For Romans, these are not distant lights but guides, reminders of gods and heroes who still watch from above. The temples, too, rest. Their steps are empty, their doors closed. The flames within burn low, tended only by priests who keep vigil. Incense curls slowly in the still air, its scent faint, almost ghostly. The gods do not sleep, but they wait in silence. Their presence is felt, not seen, their power resting over the city like a cloak. Not every part of Rome rests so peacefully. In darker alleys deals are made, whispers exchanged, shadows slipping quickly from one doorway to another. But even here, the mood is muted, softened by night. Voices are hushed, movements careful, as though the city itself demands quiet. Yet these corners are few. Most of Rome, even now, has surrendered to rest. Listen closely, and you can hear it, the breath of the city. A sigh of wind through colonnades, a whisper of water in fountains, a distant bark, a faint laugh carried from some late tavern. All else is silence. Rome breathes, steady and deep, like a great body at sleep. It is a sound that soothes, that reassures. The eternal city is vast, but it rests as one. For those who remain awake, the night is gentle. The cool air carries the scent of earth and stone, of faint smoke from dying fires, of flowers closing in gardens. The silence is not empty but full, a vessel holding the day's echoes, softening them, calming them. It is a time for reflection, for memory, for dreams. Slowly, steadily, lamps are extinguished. Steps grow fewer. Voices fade. Rome itself drifts into slumber. One home, one street, one soul at a time. The city that rose at dawn, that labored and feasted and laughed, now closes its eyes. It sleeps beneath stars, guarded by watchmen, watched by gods, cradled by the Tiber's steady song. Day gives to night, night to day. The cycle is constant, endless. In this rhythm lies Rome's strength. In this rhythm, Rome endures. And tonight, in this moment, it rests, vast, silent, eternal. The lamps are gone now. The last shutters have closed. The last footsteps have faded, and the city has surrendered itself to the stillness of night. Rome sleeps, and in its slumber, it seems almost timeless, as though the centuries themselves rest alongside its people. The silence of the city is deep, yet it is not empty. It holds the memory of every sound that came before. The laughter at the evening meal, the murmur of voices in the baths, the shouts in the forum, the hum of craftsmen at work, all linger like faint echoes, softened into a lullaby. The stones of the streets remember the sandals that struck them. The fountains remember the hands that dipped into their water. The walls of the insula remember the chatter of children, the sighs of their parents, the lullabies sung to rest. Now those sounds have dissolved into quiet. The city rests in the silence between hours, a silence that cradles rather than empties. The Tiber flows steady, patient, its waters dark but glistening under the moon. It carries the day away, gently sweeping voices, labors and laughter downstream into memory. Its current is a constant presence, the city's breath made visible. The fishermen have packed their nets, the boats rest tethered, rocking softly. Only the river moves without pause, a lullaby written in water. Its sound soothes the city, whispering softly as Rome dreams. What does a city dream? Perhaps of triumphs, arches raised, temples built, banners carried. Perhaps of ordinary joys, bread broken, children's laughter, the warmth of family. Or perhaps it dreams only of stillness, of the comfort of knowing it will rise again when dawn returns. Rome dreams through its people. Each sleeper holds a fragment, the soldier dreaming of marches, the farmer of his fields, the merchant of his wares, the poet of his verses. Together these dreams weave into one great tapestry, Rome itself dreaming in countless threads. Above, the sky is vast, unbroken, eternal. Constellations burn bright, their stories as old as the city. The twins look down, eternal companions. Orion strides across the heavens, his belt clear and sharp. The Great Bear wheels slowly, circling without end. For Romans, these are not distant lights but living myths, reminders that the world is more than the city, more than the earth itself. The stars watch as Rome rests, guardians of the night, steady, patient, unchanging. The temples are silent, their doors closed, their steps deserted. Yet within, flames burn softly, watched by priests in vigil. The gods do not sleep. They watch as they always have, as they always will. Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Apollo, their presences linger in the night air. They stand over the city as guardians, unseen but felt, like the weight of a blanket across a sleeping form. Their silence is not absence, but reassurance. As the night deepens, time itself seems to slow. The hours pass gently, without measure, without urgency. The city lies suspended, as though the world has paused its turning. You feel it in the air, a softness, a depth, a quiet that invites surrender. The day is gone, the night is here, and nothing more is asked. The past is complete, the future waits, now is only rest. Think of Rome as a body. By day its limbs move, its voice speaks, its heart beats strong. By night it reclines, breathing deeply, its strength gathering again. The people are its blood, flowing, working, living. The gods are its spirit, eternal, watching. And you, the listener, are part of this body too. Your breath is one with the city's breath. Your rest is Rome's rest. Together you sink into stillness. Together you dream. Day becomes night. Night becomes day. The rhythm continues, steady and unbroken. This is Rome's truth, not only its triumphs and conquests, but its simple cycle of living, resting, renewing. The eternal city is eternal, not because of monuments, not because of empire, but because of rhythm. The same rhythm you feel now, in your own breath, in your own rest. So let the images fade. The streets of stone, the baths, the markets, the meals. Let them drift like smoke into the night sky. Hold only the calm, the silence, the steady breath of a city at peace. Close your eyes deeper. Release the weight of thought. Let the rhythm of Rome's sleep become your own. The stars are steady. The river flows. The city dreams. And now you may dream too. Rest gently, traveler. Rome will rise again with dawn. But for now, it sleeps. And so should you. Good night. You've been listening to Ancient Dreams. Thank you for allowing us to guide you tonight through stories of the past, told softly, to ease the present and carry you into rest. If sleep has not yet found you, stay a while longer. Let the calm rhythm of history continue to cradle your thoughts. And if your eyes are already closed, may your dreams be gentle and your rest be deep. Until we meet again, good night from Ancient Dreams.